What I'm about to expose will completely shatter everything you thought you knew about the Summer I Turned Pretty Prime Video series and its picture-perfect cast. Behind those steamy Belly and Conrad moments from the Amazon Prime show, those carefully orchestrated Jenny Han interviews, and every single The Summer I Turned Pretty cast interview you've obsessed over, there's been a political nuclear war so devastating that co-stars literally can't tolerate being in the same room together anymore. We're talking about social media scandals that sparked international outrage, a wedding that became Hollywood's most awkward snub in recent memory, and Prime Video having to issue actual death threat warnings about fan harassment getting completely out of control. The Summer I Turned Pretty Season 2 might have given us emotional closure between the Fisher brothers, but this behind-the-scenes controversy makes the Conrad versus Jeremiah love triangle look like kindergarten playground drama. Lola Tung's increasingly uncomfortable interview moments, the Summer I Turned Pretty Season 1 cast chemistry that everyone praised is absolutely perfect, and those Summer I Turned Pretty full episode behind-the-scenes clips you couldn't get enough of just got infinitely more complicated. The Summer I Turned Pretty recap videos you've been binge-watching never mentioned any of this chaos brewing beneath the surface. If you want the complete inside story on how personal politics absolutely obliterated one of television's most beloved young casts, and turned a feel-good beach romance into Hollywood's messiest workplace disaster, you better smash that subscribe button right now, because apparently I need more subscribers to afford the therapy I'll need after diving this deep into celebrity chaos. Trust me, this rabbit hole makes Belly's complicated feelings for both Fisher brothers look like the simplest decision anyone's ever had to make. When The Summer I Turned Pretty premiered on Amazon Prime in June 2022, absolutely nobody could have predicted it would evolve into something far more complex than just another teen romance adaptation. Based on Jenny Han's internationally beloved trilogy, this wasn't just entertainment for young adults. It became a full-blown cultural phenomenon that completely dominated social media every single summer since its debut. The series didn't just accumulate viewers. It created militant armies of devoted fans who lived and breathed every microscopic detail of Belly's emotional journey between the Fisher brothers.
The intensity surrounding this Prime Video show was unlike anything the entertainment industry had witnessed since the Twilight vampire craze took over the world. Team Conrad versus Team Jeremiah wars raged across every conceivable social media platform, with fans obsessively analyzing every single glance between Lola Tung and Christopher Briney, dissecting every interaction between Lola and Gavin Casalegno with forensic precision, and turning completely innocent The Summer I Turned Pretty interview moments into evidence supporting their elaborate shipping theories. But here's where everything took a seriously dark and twisted turn. The obsession wasn't just about the fictional love triangle between characters anymore. Fans became completely fixated on the real-life relationships, personal beliefs, and private interactions between the actors themselves. Chilling, isn't it?
Lola Tung, Christopher Briney, and Gavin Casalegno weren't just playing beloved characters anymore. They became the human faces of one of the biggest teen drama sensations in streaming platform history. The show's success was absolutely astronomical beyond anyone's wildest expectations. Season 1 completely shattered viewing records for Amazon Prime Video. And by the time Season 2 dropped with massive anticipation, these young actors couldn't walk anywhere in public without being mobbed by screaming fans who treated them like actual royalty. Social media followers exploded into the millions practically overnight. Prestigious magazine covers, incredibly lucrative brand partnerships, major award nominations. This was the kind of overnight success that launches entire careers and changes people's lives forever. But with that unprecedented level of fame and public scrutiny comes crushing pressure that most people simply can't comprehend or handle gracefully. And apparently, it also exposed some seriously uncomfortable truths about who these people really are when those cameras stop rolling and the scripted dialogue ends.
The first major warning sign that something was catastrophically wrong behind the scenes came from an absolutely unprecedented move by Amazon Prime themselves that shocked the entire entertainment industry. The streaming giant felt compelled to issue a stern public warning to fans about their increasingly toxic behavior, essentially stating that harassment, hate speech, and systematic bullying would result in immediate account bans and potential legal consequences. They implemented a zero-tolerance policy that sent shockwaves throughout Hollywood and left industry experts questioning what exactly had happened to necessitate such drastic measures. Think about that situation for just a moment. When has a major streaming platform ever had to essentially threaten to ban viewers for how they discuss and interact around a teen romance show? This wasn't normal fan enthusiasm or typical celebrity worship they were dealing with. This was something much darker, more dangerous, and infinitely more personal than anyone had anticipated. Industry reports started revealing that Gavin Casalegno, who plays the beloved character Jeremiah Fisher, had been receiving actual death threats from supposed fans, while other cast members faced relentless harassment campaigns that went far beyond typical celebrity criticism. Behind-the-scenes sources began sharing increasingly disturbing details about why Amazon felt the urgent need to step in so aggressively with legal threats. People with direct connections to the production revealed that the entire cast had been receiving an unusual and alarming amount of targeted harassment. But this wasn't coming from random internet trolls or anonymous accounts. The harassment was coming directly from different factions within their own supposed fan base, and it was getting intensely personal, deeply political, and genuinely threatening to their safety and mental health. Fans had started connecting dangerous dots between the actors' real-life political views, personal beliefs, and their on-screen chemistry, and the results were absolutely explosive in the worst possible way.
The moment that really exposed just how fractured and dysfunctional this cast had become behind their professional facades should have been a joyous celebration shared with their television family. Gavin Casalegno got married to his longtime girlfriend Cheyenne during the production break between seasons, which should have been a beautiful occasion celebrated by his co-workers who had become like family during their intense filming schedules. Instead, it became the smoking gun that proved these actors couldn't tolerate spending personal time together outside of their contractual obligations. Not a single cast member attended Gavin's wedding ceremony. Not Christopher Briney, who plays his on-screen rival Conrad. Not Lola Tung, who shared intimate romantic scenes with him as Jeremiah's love interest, Belly. Not Sean Kaufman, who plays Steven, Belly's protective older brother. Not even Jenny Han herself, the creator and executive producer of the entire show who had launched all of their careers and made them household names.
Now, actors missing a colleague's wedding isn't automatically scandalous or newsworthy. People have legitimate scheduling conflicts, previous commitments, family obligations, or personal reasons for declining wedding invitations. But when literally every single person from your work family, people you've spent months living and working in close quarters with, completely skips your wedding, and then fans start posting detailed side-by-side comparisons with other television show casts who treat each other like genuine family, it starts painting a very different and much more troubling picture of what was really happening behind those carefully curated social media posts. The internet detectives went absolutely wild with their investigative analysis. They pulled up countless photos from other popular young adult show weddings where entire casts showed up enthusiastically to support each other's major life milestones. The Outer Banks cast regularly celebrates each other's personal achievements. Stranger Things actors consistently show up for each other's important events. Even reality television stars from shows like Love Island typically rally around their co-stars' weddings, engagements, and other significant moments.
But the Summer I Turned Pretty cast? Complete radio silence. No Instagram stories congratulating the happy couple. No behind-the-scenes photos from any wedding-related events. No public acknowledgement whatsoever that this massive milestone in their colleague's life had even occurred. It was like Gavin's wedding existed in a completely parallel universe that none of his co-stars inhabited or cared about. All right, if you're still following this absolutely messy situation and haven't hit that subscribe button yet, now's your chance. Because honestly,
I think I deserve hazard pay for investigating drama this chaotic. Seriously though, subscribe because this story gets way more complicated and I need to know people actually want to hear about Hollywood's messiest workplace dynamics.
The reason for all this obvious tension and professional awkwardness finally started making complete sense when dedicated fans dug deeper into Gavin Casalegno's social media activity patterns and discovered something that would change everything. What they uncovered was an extensive pattern of online behavior that directly contradicted the core values of a show created by a progressive woman, starring a strong female protagonist making her own choices, and beloved by a predominantly young, socially conscious fan base who valued equality and representation. The controversy exploded across social media platforms when eagle-eyed fans discovered that Gavin had liked a particularly inflammatory post that read, "When you find out she is unvaxxed, not a feminist, loves the Lord, and aspires to be a wife, mother, and homemaker." This wasn't just some random accidental double tap on social media. This was posted by an account specifically promoting traditional gender roles and conservative family values to fans of a show that was literally about female empowerment, personal agency, and a young woman choosing her own path in life regardless of societal expectations.
But that discovery was honestly just the tip of an enormous iceberg that kept getting more problematic the deeper fans investigated. More extensive research revealed that Gavin was following and consistently engaging with some seriously controversial figures and content that seemed completely at odds with his co-stars' public positions and the show's core messaging about equality and acceptance. Dedicated fans discovered he had been liking posts by Dean Cain, a conservative media personality widely known for his public stances against transgender rights, his vocal support for Kyle Rittenhouse during highly divisive legal proceedings, and his consistent alignment with Republican talking points, including opposition to the Black Lives Matter movement and various social justice initiatives. The actor was also found engaging with Jordan Peterson videos that contained openly transphobic remarks and repeatedly interacting with pro-Israel posts during particularly divisive and emotionally charged international conflicts. The pattern became absolutely impossible to ignore or explain away when fans discovered even more problematic content in his digital footprint. Anti-vaccination material promoting dangerous health misinformation during a global pandemic. Content supporting traditional gender roles that many fans found deeply offensive given current conversations about women's rights and autonomy. Posts that seemed tone-deaf and insensitive given ongoing social justice movements that his co-stars publicly supported. Each new discovery felt like another nail in the coffin, confirming that Gavin's personal beliefs and political positions were fundamentally at odds with everything the Summer I Turned Pretty supposedly represented in terms of progressive values, female empowerment, and inclusive storytelling.
When you contrast this pattern of social media activity with his co-star's online presence, the ideological divide becomes even more stark and obvious. Christopher Briney's Instagram consistently shows support for progressive environmental causes, climate change activism, and various social justice issues that resonate with younger generations. Lola Tung regularly shares content supporting women's reproductive rights, racial equality movements, and LGBTQ+ acceptance initiatives. Their online activity perfectly aligns with typical Generation Z liberal values and the kind of inclusive messaging that made the show so popular with its target demographic. And then there was Gavin, apparently supporting figures, ideas, and political positions that were completely opposed to his co-stars' public stances and the show's overall message about acceptance, equality, and personal freedom. When the backlash started gaining serious momentum across social media platforms and entertainment news outlets, Gavin attempted some damage control that honestly made the situation even worse. He claimed that someone else had unauthorized access to his social media accounts and was liking posts without his knowledge or consent. He insisted that he didn't even have Instagram installed on his phone most days and thanked fans for bringing this concerning activity to his attention so he could investigate and secure his accounts. But his explanation fell completely flat for several obvious reasons that even his most devoted fans couldn't ignore or rationalize.
First, the pattern of problematic activity was far too consistent, specific, and aligned with a particular worldview to be explained by random unauthorized access. This wasn't someone randomly engaging with cat videos and political content. It was a carefully curated selection of posts that all supported a specific conservative ideology over an extended period.
Second, this wasn't just one or two random likes that could potentially be explained as accidental taps or mistakes. This was an extensive history of engaging with controversial content, spanning months or even years, suggesting a deliberate pattern rather than isolated incidents. And third, his public explanation only came after he got caught and called out by fans, not as a proactive clarification or security concern. The timing made it seem like damage control rather than genuine concern about account security.
The situation became exponentially more complicated and professionally problematic when you consider the workplace dynamics this ideological divide was creating on set. Industry insiders started sharing details about how this political tension was seriously affecting the day-to-day atmosphere during filming. Sources close to the production revealed that the conflict wasn't just about having different political opinions. Plenty of actors worked together successfully despite disagreeing on various political issues. This was about fundamental differences in core values and basic beliefs about human dignity that made it essentially impossible for the cast to connect on any personal level beyond their professional obligations. When you're spending months filming together in close quarters, sharing emotionally intimate scenes, and expected to create believable romantic chemistry on screen, having such vastly different worldviews creates genuinely insurmountable problems that affect everyone's performance and the overall production quality. It's one thing to disagree about tax policy, healthcare systems, or economic theories, but when one person's social media activity suggests they don't believe in the fundamental humanity, rights, and dignity of groups that their co-stars belong to, identify with, or actively support, that creates an impossible working environment that no amount of professional courtesy can overcome. The professional consequences started becoming painfully apparent during what should have been routine promotional activities and press tours. The cast interviews that everyone used to praise for their natural chemistry, genuine friendship, and effortless banter suddenly became exercises in careful choreography, diplomatic responses, and increasingly awkward silences that fans immediately noticed and analyzed. During one particularly revealing lie detector interview that went viral for all the wrong reasons, when Lola Tung was directly asked if she thought she and Gavin would have been friends during high school, her response was diplomatically brutal and sparked thousands of reaction videos across social media platforms. Body language experts on TikTok had an absolute field day analyzing these promotional interactions frame by frame. They pointed out how cast members' entire postures, facial expressions, and energy levels would visibly change when questions involved or focused on Gavin. The way they would look everywhere except directly at him during group interviews. How they chose their words so carefully and deliberately that it became obvious they were trying very hard not to say what they really felt about the situation.
The forced smiles that never reached their eyes. The awkward pauses before answering questions about their relationships with each other. Everything about these promotional moments screamed polite, professional tolerance, rather than the genuine friendship and camaraderie that had made their earlier interviews so entertaining and engaging for fans. Behind-the-scenes sources shared increasingly detailed information about how these personal tensions were playing out during their actual filming schedules and downtime between takes. The cast had naturally and noticeably split into different social groups during their free time away from the cameras. Christopher Briney, Sean Kaufman, and Lola Tung would regularly spend time together, going to dinners at local restaurants, exploring filming locations as tourists, taking weekend trips, and genuinely enjoying each other's company as friends beyond their work relationships. They would post Instagram stories from their adventures together, share inside jokes during interviews that clearly came from their real friendship, and obviously had developed authentic personal bonds that extended far beyond their professional obligations to promote the show together. Gavin, meanwhile, was increasingly likely to keep to himself during breaks, spend time with crew members and technical staff, or connect with local people he'd meet while filming in various locations. While there's absolutely nothing inherently wrong with being more private, introverted, or preferring smaller social groups, the stark contrast with how the other main cast members had bonded became increasingly obvious and uncomfortable as the series progressed through multiple seasons. You know what? If you've made it this far through all this behind-the-scenes chaos and you still haven't subscribed, I'm starting to think you're just here for the free entertainment. Hit that subscribe button because, honestly, researching celebrity drama this messy is exhausting, and I need to know people appreciate the investigative journalism happening here.
Jenny Han, the creator and showrunner, found herself in an absolutely impossible and professionally devastating position. She had built her entire career on writing empowering stories for young women, creating complex female characters who make their own choices, and advocating for representation and inclusivity in entertainment. Her show had become a symbol of female agency, personal growth, and the importance of surrounding yourself with people who respect and support your values. Having one of her male lead actors publicly associated with content that directly contradicted these core values created a public relations nightmare that no amount of careful messaging, strategic interviews, or damage control could effectively resolve. The situation became even more personally complex when you consider that Jenny Han is also Asian American, and some of the content Gavin had engaged with included posts that were critical of diversity initiatives in entertainment, affirmative action policies, and representation efforts that had directly benefited creators like herself.
For a creator who had fought extensively to get authentic representation on screen, secure funding for stories about Asian American experiences, and create opportunities for young actors of color, having one of her stars seemingly oppose those very values and initiatives must have been personally devastating and professionally infuriating. The fan reaction to all this unfolding drama was absolutely intense and completely fractured the Summer I Turned Pretty community into warring factions that couldn't coexist peacefully. Social media became a genuine battlefield where different groups of fans argued about everything from the actor's constitutional right to personal political opinions to whether their private beliefs should affect how audiences view their characters and the show itself.
TikTok was completely flooded with videos analyzing every single interaction, every interview moment, every social media post, and every public appearance for additional evidence of cast tension, political alignment, or relationship dynamics. Some content creators made hour-long deep dive investigations into body language analysis, comparing current promotional content with earlier seasons to document the obvious change in group dynamics. Others created detailed side-by-side comparisons of how these actors treated each other in public versus how other television casts interact, celebrate each other's achievements, and support each other through personal milestones. The controversy generated millions of views across literally thousands of videos, with fans choosing sides based on their own political beliefs, personal values, and what level of ideological disagreement they could tolerate from actors they'd grown to love and admire.
The professional fallout from all this controversy started becoming visible and measurable as the actors began booking their next projects and career opportunities post-Summer I Turned Pretty. Christopher Briney landed several significant roles in major studio productions and had multiple high-profile opportunities lined up with respected directors and established production companies. Lola Tung was being actively courted for leading roles in major studio projects, lucrative brand partnerships with prestigious companies, and had several promising scripts under consideration. But Gavin's post-Summer I Turned Pretty opportunities seemed notably fewer, less prominent, and significantly less prestigious compared to his co-stars' career trajectories. Industry experts and entertainment journalists were particularly surprised by this development, given how Hollywood typically responds to political controversy. The entertainment industry, especially the young adult and teen demographic sector,
tends to be quite liberal, socially progressive, and focused on inclusive messaging that resonates with younger audiences. When an actor becomes associated with controversial political views, especially ones that could potentially alienate key demographics or conflict with a project's core values, it can significantly impact their career trajectory in ways that extend far beyond any individual project or specific controversy. As filming wrapped on the final season of the series, the professional requirements meant the cast still had to continue promoting the show together despite their obvious personal differences and underlying tension. But every single joint appearance became an elaborate exercise in careful choreography, diplomatic responses, and strategic positioning to minimize awkward interactions.
Publicists and media handlers worked overtime to manage group interviews, ensuring that potentially explosive topics were carefully avoided. Questions were pre-screened, and interactions remained superficially pleasant for the cameras, while everyone involved knew the truth about their relationships. The most telling and uncomfortable moment came during the final season press conference, when an entertainment reporter asked what should have been a simple, easy question about their favorite memories from filming together over the 3 seasons. This question should have been absolutely effortless for a genuinely close-knit cast to answer with warmth, specific anecdotes about bonding experiences, funny behind-the-scenes stories, and obvious affection for their shared experience.
Instead, there were long, uncomfortable pauses where you could practically hear everyone's internal panic. Generic, carefully worded responses about beautiful filming locations and working with talented professional people. A general sense that everyone was choosing their words extremely carefully to avoid revealing the true state of their relationships or accidentally saying something that could be interpreted as taking sides in the ongoing controversy. What makes this entire situation so fascinating and almost surreal is how perfectly it mirrors the central themes and relationship dynamics of the show itself. The Summer I Turned Pretty is fundamentally about growing up, discovering who you really are underneath surface appearances, and learning that sometimes people change or reveal themselves in ways that make previously close relationships impossible to maintain.
The fact that the real-life cast experienced their own version of this coming-of-age disillusionment, personal growth through conflict, and the painful realization that shared experiences don't always translate to lasting friendships adds an almost supernatural layer of irony to the whole dramatic situation. Just like how Belly ultimately had to choose between Conrad and Jeremiah based on their fundamental values, how they treated her and others, and whether their actions aligned with their words, fans found themselves having to make similar choices based on their own values and what they could personally tolerate from the actors they'd previously supported unconditionally. The parallel between the fictional love triangle that drove the show's plot and the very real ideological divide that destroyed the cast's relationships was almost too perfect and symbolically appropriate to be purely coincidental.
All right. If you've somehow made it through this entire emotional roller coaster of celebrity chaos and you still haven't subscribed, I'm genuinely impressed by your commitment to free content. But seriously, smash that subscribe button because apparently I need more subscribers to justify spending this much time investigating whether actors actually like each other in real life. The legacy and long-term impact of this controversy will likely outlast the show itself and influence how the entertainment industry approaches similar situations in the future. Future casting directors will certainly remember how personal political differences can completely torpedo a production's promotional efforts, create ongoing headaches for studios and streaming platforms, and potentially damage the commercial success of expensive projects. Young actors entering the industry will learn valuable lessons about social media awareness,
the importance of understanding how personal beliefs can impact not just their own careers, but the success and reputation of entire projects they're involved in, and the livelihood of everyone else working on those productions.
Fans will forever associate The Summer I Turned Pretty, not just with its romantic storylines, beautiful beach settings, and coming-of-age themes, but with the very real drama that proved sometimes the most interesting and devastating conflicts happen when cameras stop rolling and people have to be their authentic selves rather than the characters they're paid to portray. The way this entire situation unfolded gives us a fascinating and somewhat depressing glimpse into how personal beliefs, professional obligations, fan expectations, and social media dynamics can create the perfect storm for Hollywood drama that rivals any scripted storyline. The Summer I Turned Pretty ultimately gave us not one, but two compelling love triangles, the fictional romantic tension between Belly, Conrad, and Jeremiah that kept viewers engaged, and the very real ideological conflict between progressive values, conservative beliefs, and career success in modern Hollywood that kept the internet talking. This whole controversy raises important questions about celebrity responsibility, the role of personal politics in entertainment, and whether audiences should separate artists from their personal beliefs when consuming media. It also highlights how social media has fundamentally changed the relationship between fans and celebrities, creating unprecedented levels of access to personal information while simultaneously creating new opportunities for conflict and disappointment. If you somehow survive this absolute masterclass in celebrity chaos and behind-the-scenes drama, you definitely need to let me know in the comments which side of this controversy you fall on, and whether you think personal politics should affect how we view our favorite actors and their work. Do you think Gavin was unfairly targeted for his personal beliefs, or do you think his co-stars were justified in maintaining professional distance? Can you still enjoy the show knowing about all this behind-the-scenes tension, or does it ruin the magic for you? The summer may have ended both on screen and in real life, but this drama is definitely going to keep the internet analyzing, debating, and creating content for years to come. Subscribe for more deep dives into celebrity controversies that make reality TV look boring. And remember that sometimes the most interesting stories happen between the scripted moments when people think no one is watching.